Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, Sonic Love. So in today's video, I'm going to be checking out the official, not the pre-release, but the official from our good friends from China, Powkiddy X55. So there was a little bit of controversy over the pre-release. I think Retro Breeze did an extensive overview of the dramas and politics around it. I didn't get myself involved. I was just going to wait until Powkiddy sent me out the official X55. I already knew that there was a lot of problems regarding the pre-release, the ones that got issued out by people who had the units early and they weren't supposed to do it. I believe there is a legal battle going on, but as I say, I don't get involved with all that palaver. So the X55 is a pretty standard. It's not going to set the world alight due to power, but what I'm interested in is the larger screen. I am a big advocate and a massive fan of larger screen handhelds. That's what I'm looking at today, of how good it is and whether it's great enough to play retro handheld games, because I think a bigger screen makes a massive difference. I'd love to know what you think about a larger screen, guys. Without further ado, let's get into the unboxing and see if it is worth your hard-earned cash. So this is rocking the RK5566, pretty much what it was like in the RK 2023, but the build quality of this is terrible. The emulation is great, the screen is nice, the controls are okay, but I wasn't a big fan of this. But I do believe they have released a black version with built-in Wi-Fi as well, so I will be getting one of them to test out and do a comparison to see whether they've made any improvements on maybe the build quality as well, because it is terrible. Powkiddy's not the best for build quality. They can either be exceptionally good or really poor. So let's check out the X55 and see if it is good or bad on the build quality. So it comes in a pretty beefy box. It does tell you exactly what's on there, which is pretty nice. It's got good indications of what you get all around the unit itself, which is pretty nice. As you can see, it's really cool. So as I say, it's rocking the 3566, but I do believe there is a bit of controversy. The stock firmware that came out with the pre-release was terrible and wasn't very optimized. Now it comes with Jealous or just enough Linux software. It's already pre-built in for if you get it from Powkiddy, which is pretty nice, which we do have a significant uplift in performance versus the old stock, but still I don't know what's going on. I think it needs to have some custom firmware on it, really, which maybe Bottasera, if they can jump in and do one, just to see if we can get a little bit more of this chipset, because I don't know whether it's because of the larger screen, but it does seem to draw out a little bit of power out of the chipset itself, which results in some of the emulation not being as good as what it should be. So as you can see at the bottom, we have two TF card slots, one for your operating system and one for your ROMs. We have two facing down firing speakers. These grills, they've got like, they're independent, so they move a little bit. I don't know if that's coming across on the screen, but it does feel like it moves just a little bit. But they seem nice. I really don't like firing down, but we'll see how it is and if it's really loud. The design and the ergonomics of this are pretty cool. I love the color. The color is absolutely delish. So we have our trigger buttons, we have our power, we have our HDMI slot out, DC and OTG. We have a power port, 3.5mm headphone jack and a reset button. If we have a little look at the front, we have our usual standard layout. We have a D-pad, analog triggers, A, B, X, Y, start, select and volume. Volume are next to each other, which is unusual. Not too sure how I feel about that, but it saves stretching up to the top, I suppose. So maybe they just did it for ease of use, maybe. But the D-pad, it looks like a good one from our good friends from Powkiddy. It's got a nice pivot. It does feel quite stiff as well, but if you press it down, it does have nice travel to it. So that'd be interesting to see what that's like. Usual switch analog sticks with clickies, and then if you have a little look, they are very nicely level with the unit itself, which is always a plus. So on the back we have nothing spectacular, but we do have some lovely moulding going on the handles, which, yeah, it does feel quite comfortable in the hand. It is very reminiscent of the RGB 10 Max version 2. Just let me get a comparison with that. As you can see from the design, it is very similar. They've gone with a similar style. I don't think it is the Max 3 that we're all wanting, but it is very, very similar, just a little bit more of a snappier design. Screen wise, 5.5 inch, really nice. I think 4x3 will look really nice on here. You'll have a nice image, but I always stretch it out to 3x2 just to have a little bit of extra. I know some people like the official layout of the cores for their games, but I don't mind stretching it a little bit, not fully 16:9, but I do like to stretch it just that little bit, just to have a little bit more graphics on the screen. Yep, so we have the trigger buttons at the top. Not too sure if I'm keen on them or not, but they feel nice when it's in the hand, but they are quite loud. Probably the loudest buttons that I've used or seen so far on a handheld. The top buttons aren't too bad, they're not as loud, but these bottom triggers, they are incredibly loud. Not sure if there's anything you can do to damper that sound down. I may have to take it apart and have a look and see if you can. If you can, that would be great, but I will keep a pinned comment if I am successful with that. And if it sounds good and looks good, then I will do a video on how to mod it. But so far, I really like the look of the X55. It feels nice, it looks nice. I love the screen itself, by the way that it is laid out and the way that it situates in the unit itself. It's got like a lovely little curve going right the way around it. It looks quite premium. Okay, so let's boot this up and see what it's all about. So turning the unit on, it does take a little while to kick in. I'll just give you an example of that. So a minute's passed already and it's just kicking in. So it takes a minute to load up. Now that minute, as you've just witnessed, it feels like an hour. So that's a bit of a shame, really. Like, I think that's a little bit too long. If they can sort that out maybe in an update, that would be fantastic. So as you can imagine from our good friends from Powkiddy, they have literally ram-packed it full of goodness. It comes with this version comes with a 64 gig, but it comes with everything on there. Even all your old school computer systems are on there as well, which is really nice. So it doesn't have a super bunch of every game, but it has a good amount of games for each system. And games that you actually want to play, like your Pokemons and so forth. But yeah, it comes really nice. As I say, it's got just enough Linux on there, which is a really nice interface. Very simple, very easy to use. So if you're wanting something that you just want to get as a pick up and play experience, then this is quite good. So I definitely recommend that if you don't have the capability of adding ROMs on your own ROMs and adding firmware and so forth. I think this is a good shout. The screen itself is large and vibrant. I know I can't really showcase it off here with just the menu, but it is really nice, really sharp. The colors are really nice. If we just go into the start menu, and if I bring it up a little bit closer, and if we go down to system settings, and if we go down, we have the brightness on full, but the good thing, we can change the gamma, the contrast, the saturation, the hue. This is such a lovely touch. It just makes the experience a lot better because you can have the screen exactly how you want it. So if you like oversaturated, you can do it. If you like a lot of contrast, you can do it. So I think that's a really good touch, and because of this panel, it's like the Switch OLED. The screen itself is incredibly black, so it really does feel like an OLED. because it just makes the blacks really rich and dark, which also adds the contrast, which not a lot of handhelds have. A lot of handhelds have this will be a really greyed out, so it won't look black, but this actually looks black, so it looks incredibly sharp and stunning. So the screen is really nice. Now I have added a little bit more of saturation. I do like a little bit of oversaturation on retro handhelds, but so far the screen is really, really nice. Let's just jump it in to a game, and I think the best one to test will be Game Boy Advance. Turn the volume up. It's got really nice sound, quite tinny, not much on the lows, but I'm sure that's coming across now just how nice that screen actually is. So if you like a high saturated look, you can have it. If you like a big screen, this has got it. Yeah, so it really does look really, really nice, especially Game Boy Advance on here. The stereo sound feels good as well. It's not actually too bad. Normally I like a front facing, but it's not too bad. Is there a habit of maybe covering the speakers? I'm not sure, because of the placement of the triggers where your finger needs to be. I think you just miss it, so that's pretty cool as well. Yeah, very impressed so far, for build quality anyway. There is a tiny little bit of flex, but it's all plastic, but it's still very sturdy. It's nowhere near as bad as the Arcade 2023. That was terrible. You could twist that like a sponge. Oh, horrible. But this is very good. Good build quality. I'd give it a good 7 out of 10 for the build quality on here. Okay, so let's jump into some emulation and showcase what this can do, the good, the bad and the ugly. So we're going to kick things off with some 32X and then build up to the higher end that this can run. But personally, I would just stick up to PS1. There are some Dreamcast games that do work, but there is a little bit of tinkering around, swapping out the emulators due to pre-system configuration and just finding the emulator that works specifically for that game, which can be a little bit cumbersome, but it's something that we're used to with retro handhelds. So let's kick things off with some 32X. Go with some Amiga, Buggy Boy. Great game. Let's go with some Sega CD. But I'm sure you can see how well it looks. The screen is beautiful, very sharp, clear, and as I say, it's very smooth. The refresh rate is nice. There was some Dreamcast, Marvel vs. Capcom. D-pad works nice. Nintendo DS is another one that works really well. Obviously, if it doesn't have the touchscreen capability, so it will have to be games that don't utilise that. But on the big screen, it looks really nice. Arcade games look really nice as well, using the bigger screen. Goes from Game Boy. Also looks really nice. Game Boy Advance is particularly amazing on here. Mega Drive also looks, or Sega Genesis as it's known in the States, plays really well and looks fantastic.
come to your doom.
And 64, it's about choosing the right emulator, but you can get some nice performance on there. As you can see, it's running quite slow, but then if we swap it out, as you can see, now it's full speed. Neo Geo is another system that runs really well on here and looks awesome.
Round one. Fight!
But one of my favourite systems to play on here, especially with the larger screen, is PlayStation 1. It looks absolutely fantastic and plays really, really well. The chance to upscale, it's a joy.
Bloody Roar 2, the new. Here we go! Get ready. Fight!
Checking out some PSP, go with some Wipeout. So not everything's going to play, as you well know, because the chipset is just not powerful to begin with, but there is some games that look really good. I think that playing it at 2x resolution with a frame skip of 1 seems to be your best way of playing. As for this one, I'll just show you. So this is a 2x, and because of the 16:9 screen, it just looks incredible. And a frame skip of 1 just seems to be the best way to play it. But some of your lower end systems can go up to 2 to 3x with no frame skip. 2x resolution, frame skipper 1, looks really good.
You win. Round 2. Fight.
Okay guys, I'm going to leave it there for my unboxing and first impressions. I really like it. I think for the price of £78 or £79, if you're looking for a larger handheld, this isn't pocketable. I wouldn't carry this around in the pocket because of its size. But if you're looking for a larger screen on a cheap price, then this is pretty good. The screen is absolutely lovely. The controls are okay. They're not amazing, but they suit its purpose. It's a good D-pad. Analog sticks work well. The sound is actually pretty decent, even though they're bottom firing speakers. There's not much of lows, but it still gets pretty loud. The screen itself, as I say, is the selling point of this. It's really, really nice. And with the just enough Linux that you can change the contrast, saturation, hue, I just think that's a really, really nice touch. It'd be nice and interesting to see if we do get a Botticera build for this, because I'd be really interested to see that, or if there is any other custom firmware that will be made for this. It'd be nice to have a bit of competition on it, but I think for the price, the build quality is pretty solid and robust. But for me, the screen, a bigger screen is always a winner in my eyes. I absolutely love it. I think if you're looking to play retro games all the way up to PS1, then this is ideal. There is some great games still that can be played on Dreamcast and N64 and PSP, but you're limited on the selection. I would suggest a different unit if you wanted to play those systems just by themselves. But this, I think I can definitely recommend. I think Powkiddy have done a great job. Not too sure what it was like with the pre-build that went around, but I can honestly say that this one, I will leave a link in the description. I'd love to know your thoughts on it, guys. But I think if it's somebody just getting into retro gaming and they want something nice with a big screen, this is it. So I am absolutely, yeah, I can absolutely recommend the Powkiddy X55 up to PS1, and it seems to be a reasonable price and good build quality. Love to know your thoughts, guys, in the comments. As always, a like on this video helps me out immensely, and if you want to see more retro goodness, if there is anything else you wish to see running on here, let me know in the comments. And as always, guys, take care.